Everything changed in a matter of seconds this offseason. The entire landscape of the National Football League shifted, and suddenly, the Indianapolis Colts found themselves at the absolute epicenter of a massive, franchise-altering earthquake. We are witnessing a completely redefined organization right now, and let me tell you, the tension in the air at the Indiana Farm Bureau Football Center is absolutely palpable. You can cut it with a knife. Welcome to NFL Nexus. If you want the most in-depth cinematic coverage of the NFL, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you really want to support these deep dives, consider becoming a channel member. So let's get right into this explainer. We're breaking down the massive shifts, the shocking surprises, and the high-stakes positional battles unfolding during the first 4 days of the 2026 Indianapolis Colts training camp. When a team undergoes this level of transformation, a total reshuffling of offensive philosophy and defensive personnel, the resulting power vacuum creates some of the most intense drama in professional sports. It's like a powder keg waiting to go off. If a franchise cannot answer these massive roster questions early in camp, that dysfunction, it bleeds directly into the regular season. So as the pads get ready to come on, we have to ask the definitive question: who is actually seizing control of this completely revamped roster? Look, we aren't just watching veterans trying to hold on to their jobs. We are watching a brutal, high-stakes collision. You've got established superstars looking for redemption, going head-to-head with hungry rookies fighting for their very NFL livelihoods. Every single rep is being heavily scrutinized by the coaching staff right now. Every dropped pass, every single missed assignment, every split second of hesitation, that could literally be the difference between starting on opening day or being handed your release papers and clearing out your locker. To give you some quick context on exactly where we are in the calendar right now, these first 4 padless days have been a crucial period for depth chart monitoring and the vital acclimation of a massive rookie class. Now, casual fans might think that practices without full pads are just glorified walkthroughs, right? They couldn't be more wrong. This right here, this is the mental proving ground. This is where offensive coordinators install their most complex route concepts and where defensive coordinators severely test the communication of their newly formed secondary. Without the physical violence of full pads masking mistakes, the magnifying glass is placed directly on footwork, processing speed, and discipline. This is exactly where champions are made in the margins. Because think about it. If a player can't get lined up correctly in shorts and a helmet when the pressure's low, they absolutely won't even see the field when the real bone-crushing hitting begins. But before we look at who is shining under that intense Indiana sun, we have to note the missing pieces. Because in the NFL, as the saying goes, your best ability is availability. We've got wide receiver Alec Pierce sitting out with an ankle injury, and in a crowded receiver room like this one, missing the mental proving ground of Week 1 is a devastating setback. If you aren't on the field building that crucial timing with a new quarterback, somebody else is stealing your targets. It's that simple. We also saw a heart-stopping moment when core receiver Ashton Doolin had to briefly leave the field with trainers. They actually took his helmet away, which is always terrifying to see, before he thankfully returned. We also had Derek Nottie and Cameron Mitchell not participating. But guys, the biggest storyline here, the one that has everyone talking, is a very mysterious early practice departure from second-year safety Hunter Wooler. He was seen stretching out early on the sideline, and then he simply never returned. The team was completely silent on the issue afterward, leaving us with a massive open loop that we are going to solve in just a minute. Because let me tell you, it triggered an immediate, massive domino effect on the entire depth chart. Chapter 1. Rookies Chasing Roster Spots. For these young men, the transition from college standout to professional football player is, without a doubt, the most difficult leap in sports. The playbook is thicker, the speed is blinding, and the margin for error is essentially zero. Yet, amidst all that suffocating pressure, look at rookie linebacker C.J. Allen. Drafted 53rd overall, Allen actually missed the very beginning of camp with a calf injury. Now, normally, an early injury for a rookie is a flat-out death sentence for their starting chances. You just don't catch up. But not for Allen. Since stepping onto the field, he is instantly taken over as the starting Mike linebacker. To step into the middle of an NFL defense and seamlessly take control, communicating with grizzled veterans, calling out adjustments, and flashing elite instincts without missing a beat is incredibly rare. He's already drawing comparisons to a younger, faster Zaire Franklin. The Mike linebacker is literally the quarterback of the defense. To trust a rookie with that level of responsibility immediately, it shows the Colts knew exactly what they were getting in the second round. Okay, remember that mystery surrounding Hunter Wooler leaving early that we just talked about? Well, it immediately opened the door for 79th overall pick A.J. Halsey to take the primary starting strong safety reps. This right here is exactly how fast life changes in the National Football League. One minute you are a rookie just trying to learn the playbook on the second team. The next minute, the veteran ahead of you leaves the field, and bam, you are thrust into the starting lineup alongside absolute franchise cornerstones. Think about the mental processing required there for a second. You are suddenly communicating with all pro veterans, staring down a complex offensive scheme, and you cannot be the weak link. If you mess up, everyone sees it. Halsey didn't blink. He took those first-team reps on Saturday and showed exactly why the Colts drafted him, rotating heavily with the starters and creating a massive year-one opportunity for himself in a secondary that is absolutely desperate for a hard-hitting enforcer. Over on the offensive side of the ball, sitting right behind superstar Jonathan Taylor, we have an absolute dead heat for the primary backup spot. The Colts desperately need a reliable number 2 to keep Taylor fresh for what they hope is a grueling December playoff push in the AFC. Right now, it's a heavyweight bout between Seth McGann and second-year back DJ Giddens. McGann has been incredibly shifty between the tackles, tearing through the defense for a beautiful touchdown run already. Meanwhile, Giddens, he has proven to be a terrifying wide zone threat, bouncing a run outside and completely outrunning the defensive angles for a touchdown of his own. But, and this is a massive caveat, both of these guys have struggled with brutal drops in the passing game. Listen, in modern NFL offenses, the quarterback is king. If a running back cannot reliably catch the football out of the backfield or correctly identify a blitzing linebacker to protect the franchise quarterback on third down, they will not see the field. I don't care how explosive they are as a runner. They absolutely must clean this up when the pads come on, or the team will find someone else who can. Looking a little deeper at the rest of the rookies, the brutal reality of the league is really starting to set in. Aspiring trench players like Jalen Farmer, Caden Curry, and George Gums Jr. are desperately waiting for the pads to come on. You simply cannot evaluate an offensive guard or an edge rusher in shorts. It's impossible. So right now they are currently buried on the depth chart, stuck on the third team, watching veterans like Matt Goncalves and Jalen Travis completely lock down the right side of the line. On the outside, 7th-round receiver Deion Burks, a guy a lot of analysts call the absolute steal of the draft, is surprisingly having a very quiet camp. Remember, with Alec Pierce out, this was Burks' golden opportunity. This was his moment to climb the ladder in a wide-open receiver room and build trust with the quarterbacks. Instead, he's primarily taking third-team return reps. Now, he hasn't been bad, but in the NFL, blending in is the fastest way to get cut. Chapter 2. Dominance on the defense. We are pivoting now from the rookies to a defensive unit that is looking absolutely terrifying in the best way possible. The Colts front office has essentially built a customized weapon of mass destruction on this side of the ball. And in these first 4 days, they have been flying around the field with a level of swagger and violence that should put the rest of the AFC on high alert. Just look at these names starting on day 4. You are blending returning stalwarts like Grover Stewart and Laiatu Latu with highly anticipated new additions. Having Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward Sr. locking down the perimeter completely changes the entire geometry of the defense. It forces opposing quarterbacks to hold the ball just a fraction of a second longer, which allows this lethal front four, including Arden Key, to just pin their ears back and hunt. This isn't just a starting lineup. This is an all-star team that defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo gets to deploy every single Sunday. Now, a massive franchise-altering development for this unit is the status of former All-Pro defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Look, anytime a massive trench player undergoes neck surgery, there is a collective holding of breath across the entire organization. Neck injuries and careers, that's just the reality of the sport. But Buckner, he has been successfully ramping up his 11-on-11 reps, progressing beautifully through the first week of camp. The Colts are smartly taking it slow with him because his health literally dictates the absolute ceiling of this defense. Buckner is the engine that drives the pass rush from the interior. Without him, the pocket doesn't collapse from the inside out. But in the meantime, while he ramps up, Colby Wooden is stepping up in a huge way. Wooden made a phenomenal play the other day, bursting through the gap to absolutely stuff the run behind the line of scrimmage, proving he can keep the interior rotation fresh and devastating. Moving to the back end, the secondary is putting on an absolute clinic in man-to-man coverage. Sauce Gardner is doing exactly what Sauce Gardner does best, erasing opposing receivers from the face of the earth. His suffocating length has resulted in near 0 catches allowed through 4 practices, including a jaw-dropping pass breakup against Josh Downs that had everyone cheering. But honestly, perhaps the best story of the entire camp so far is Justin Wally. Coming off a grueling ACL rehabilitation, Wally has proven the injury is completely in the past. He made a game-saving acrobatic pass breakup against Ashton Doolin in the end zone that had the coaching staff buzzing. When you combine Gardner, Ward, who just returned from a veteran rest day, and a fully healthy Wally, passing on this defense looks nearly impossible. And in a loaded AFC featuring a gauntlet of heavy-hitting elite quarterbacks, having a secondary that can completely neutralize high-powered passing attacks isn't just a luxury, it is the ultimate playoff trump card. Chapter 3. The Quarterback Hierarchy. So, the crucial point of this entire explainer is what's happening under center. Because in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. And what's happening here for the Colts is fascinating because the gap between the starter and the backups has become glaringly obvious to everyone in attendance. This number right here, this number is everything. 80%. That was Daniel Jones's incredible completion rate during intense red zone work on day 4. Think about that. When the field shrinks inside the 20-yard line, the windows close in a fraction of a second. The defense is playing faster, the throwing lanes are tighter, and mistakes are magnified. To complete 80% of your passes in that specific, chaotic environment against this elite Colts defense, that is nothing short of surgical. Jones put together his absolute best day of training camp. Period. He went 12 of 15 in 11-on-11 drills, just dicing up the defense with quick, decisive, and accurate strikes. He threw 3 touchdowns to Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, and Laquan Treadwell. But you know what? The biggest sigh of relief for Colts fans isn't just the arm talent, it's his legs. Jones suffered a devastating Achilles injury last December. For a quarterback whose game relies so heavily on mobility and escaping the pocket when things break down, that injury is terrifying. It can permanently alter a player's mechanics. But Jones showed zero ill effects. None. He scrambled effectively, picked up yards on the ground, and looked exactly like the dynamic signal caller who famously led his previous squad to that 8-2 start. The Achilles is firmly in the rearview mirror, and Jones looks poised for a massive comeback campaign. But when we look at this chart, the stark contrast behind him is staggering. This is the brutal reality of the NFL on full display. While Daniel Jones dominated at that 80% mark, the battle behind him is deeply concerning. Riley Leonard managed a 50% completion rate, which, to be fair, was largely salvaged by a spectacular 50-yard bomb. But down at the bottom, Anthony Richardson Sr. completely struggled, going 1 for 4 in team drills for a dismal 25% completion rate. Richardson looked lost trying to find open receivers against this elite secondary. The game moves incredibly fast, and right now, the gap between Jones and the rest of the quarterback room isn't just a step, it's a canyon. Chapter 4. Final Depth Chart Battles. Let's wrap this up by examining the offensive weapons that Daniel Jones is utilizing to build this 2026 juggernaut. A quarterback is only as good as the arsenal surrounding him, right? And the Colts are currently reshuffling the deck to find the most lethal combinations possible. In the wide receiver room, Josh Downs is visibly relishing his larger role in the offense. His route running is razor sharp, allowing him to create immediate separation right off the line of scrimmage. He has quickly become Jones' absolute favorite target, racking up 4 catches and a touchdown on day 4 alone. Meanwhile, Ashton Dulin is winning the crucial battle for the WR3 spot. Now, Dulin has been one of the best special teams gunners in the entire NFL for years, but because of his growing importance on the actual offense, the coaching staff is aggressively phasing out his special team snaps. They have to protect him. And don't count out veteran Nick Westbrook-Ikeen, who proved he can still take the top off a defense with that massive 50-yard highlight reel catch from Riley Leonard. Here is your confirmed starting offensive unit for day 4. Take a good look, because this is the squad that the Colts are trusting to establish true offensive dominance. When backed up against their own end zone during situational drills, this exact squad efficiently, methodically marched the ball straight down the throat of one of the best defenses in football. And you know what? This all ties back to the offensive line. With Bernhard Raimann and the legendary Quentin Nelson anchoring the left side, and young maulers like Tanner Bertolini holding down the middle, Daniel Jones is going to have the protective fortress he needs to operate. You do not want a quarterback coming off a torn Achilles taking unnecessary hits or constantly fleeing a collapsing pocket. Nelson and Raymond's ability to build an impenetrable wall on that blind side is the ultimate insurance policy for Jones's health. It keeps him upright, and it keeps this entire offensive system functioning at peak efficiency. So the crucial question we are left with as the first week of camp concludes is this. With an elite-looking Daniel Jones operating at peak efficiency, a suffocating defense led by absolute superstars in Sauce Gardner and DeForest Buckner, and a crop of hungry rookies stepping up to the plate, does this new-look 2026 roster have the exact recipe required to make a deep, cinematic playoff run in Indy this year? The pieces are all on the board, but potential means nothing until the lights turn on and the real hitting begins next week. This war is far from over. Thank you for tuning into this explainer on NFL Nexus. If you want to follow this brutal camp battle every step of the way, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Who do you think wins these positional battles? Let's talk about it. Support the channel by becoming a channel member, and I will see you in the next breakdown.